very easy to come by an automatic weapon, because an automatic weapon in the hands of a law-abiding citizen is no more dangerous than fireworks in the hands of law-abiding citizens, or dynamite for practical uses. I don't have a personal use for dynamite, but some people properly trained do, that are not associated with the military. So I disagree. If you've watched CNN, the Communist News Network, in recent years, you've seen a British fellow named Piers Morgan appearing on his popular talk show. Mr. Morgan is a British citizen. He's a subject of the crown, which, of course, our founding fathers, our ancestors defeated. He's totally against your rights to keep and bear arms. He's not even an American citizen. He wants to comment on our policy. I disagree with that. I disagree with that completely. Now, there's been a call by political conservatives who are outraged at Mr. Morgan for rallying against our Second Amendment, being disrespectful in regards to our rights. And they've called for him to be deported. They've even created a White House petition. You can visit our First Amendment media site, firstamendmentmedia.tumblr.com, and you can read my full article, which I wrote this evening. And there are links to all the appropriate websites. And also, there's some linkage to the videos where he speaks with Mr. Larry Pratt, President of Gun Owners of America. We're going to get to that discussion shortly. But the calls to deport Piers Morgan back to Great Britain, I believe, are unacceptable. Piers Morgan is not a United States citizen, but he is on U.S. soil, and he's here legally. Anyone on U.S. soil has the rights to free speech, even if that speech is unpopular. The Ku Klux Klan has, for many years, been a very unpopular organization with good reason. They're a joke, as are neo-Nazi groups and the Black Panther Party and the Nation of Islam, organizations like that. Very unpopular speech, offensive speech, and there's no room for their ideology. However, they have a right to speak freely, and they have the same right to be unpopular as Piers Morgan does. So obviously, it's a greater offense to liberty to deport Piers Morgan over his words than it would be, for him to rally against our rights. Piers Morgan is a very disrespectful person. And when we come back from the break, we're going to be breaking down his speech, or his show with Larry Pratt, again, President of Gun Owners of America. And we will tackle that when we come back from the break. Stay with us. And welcome back to the show. On December 19th, in the wake of the Sandy Hook tragedy, Piers Morgan spoke with Gun Owners of America President Larry Pratt. Mr. Pratt is an outspoken opponent to gun control. He is a patriotic American. He's protecting your rights. And he was brutally insulted by Mr. Morgan. I found it to be very unacceptable. Piers Morgan is not able to give any sort of valid arguments for enacting gun control. He makes illogical comparisons to the United States and England's violent crime rate is sky high, much higher than it is in the vast majority of places in the United States, and they're totally disarmed and they have no rights to self-defense. Gun control causes crime. It definitely doesn't stop it. We could spend many shows, and we will spend shows talking about that. But for tonight, we are going to play a few clips from that speech where Mr. Pratt is uh, brutally attacked by Mr. Morgan. Here's the first part.
As we've now seen from the last 3 mass shootings in America, Aurora, the shopping mall in Oregon, and now Sandy Hook School, is the preferred choice of weapons for disturbed young men who want to commit mass atrocity. It can fire hundreds of bullets at rapid speed if you have the right magazines. The President of the United States has indicated he wants to ban assault weapons like this. What is your view?
I think we need to ban gun control laws that keep people from being able to protect themselves. The problem is not going to go away if we ban this or that gun. We've tried that. That doesn't work. Doesn't even work in England. You've had mass murders there. All over Europe there have been mass murders. The solution is for people to be able to defend themselves at the point of the crime and not wait for 20 minutes for the police to come after everybody's dead.
Mr. Pratt, was an absolute lie. The gun murder rates in countries like Britain or Germany or Australia, who've all suffered massacres many years ago of similar nature, they are 35 people killed a year. Your country is 12,000.
Your murder rate is lower than ours. That is true.
Lower. It's 35 against 12,000.
Your violent
in Australia,
crime rate is higher than ours, as is the violent crime rate in Australia. America is not the Wild West that you are depicting. We only have the problem in our cities and unhappily in our schools, where people like you have been able to get laws put on the books that keep people from being able to defend themselves. I honestly don't understand why you would rather have people be victims of a crime than be able to defend themselves. It's incomprehensible.
You're an unbelievably stupid man, aren't you?
It seems to me that you're morally obtuse. You seem to prefer being a victim to being able to prevail over the criminal element. And I don't know why you want to be the criminal's friend.
What a ridiculous argument. You have absolutely no coherent argument whatsoever. You don't give a damn, do you, about the gun murder rate in America? You don't actually care. All you care about
to me that
is the
facts
right
don't
for
bother
any
you, do they,
American
Mr. Morgan?
You would like to see...
Facts don't seem to... They bounce right off of your head.
Let's deal with some facts.
You're speaking oblivious to what we do know is that when you go to an area in the United States where guns are freely available, readily able to be carried legally, there you find our lowest murder rates, lower than the murder rates in Europe. You go to our cities where we have cracked down on guns and people can't defend themselves, and that's where the criminals have a field day.
How many guns did Mrs. Lanza have in her home?
All right. That's enough. You can see, ladies and gentlemen, that Piers Morgan, a seasoned journalist, that's what he calls himself, just resorting to ad hominem and name calling and something you'd expect from a middle schooler, not a 47-year-old man. It's difficult to know where to begin breaking that down. It's just it really is just shocking, just how sick the anti-gun crowd allows themselves to get. If you watch the NRA's statement that they made on December 21st, you saw several Piers Morgan type protesters from an organization called Code Pink break into the press conference area and disrupt the conference and everything else, screaming and yelling. I think that they were plants, and they were kicked out. But Piers Morgan is on the same line, since he doesn't have an argument against, or he doesn't really have a valid argument for gun control. He's got a name call people stupid. That's typically the leftist approach to any argument. Get into an argument with one, and you'll soon find out that you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to be called names, and It's a bad relationship all around when you're dealing with socialistic scum, is how I would prefer to call them. How can someone not be scum when they're preferring criminals? They're being morally obtuse. They prefer the rights to criminals to victimize you versus your rights to defend yourself against the criminal. Because let's face it, criminals don't follow gun laws. If they have these preposterous gun buybacks, where Dianne Feinstein spoke this week about instituting a possible mandatory gun buyback program for people, and Governor Cuomo of New York is really a lackey to Michael Bloomberg. Has also discussed a gun buyback program. I mean, really, where's the logic in that? What do they really hope to achieve? They know these people have millions of dollars of criminological resources at their fingertips to know that the evidence says gun control has no effect on crime. In fact, if there's any inference that can be made, it's to say areas that have a lot of gun control also have a lot of crime, because guns deter criminals. When's the last time you heard of a gun shop being held up? When's the last time you heard of a mass shooting at a gun show? I've not heard of one. I'm sure that you could probably come up with one, but I've never personally heard of it. Why? Well, because criminals are afraid of other people who have guns. They don't want to be in a shootout. Criminals largely play off opportunity, and they're going to go for the easiest target. Predatory animals often go for weak prey because they're easy. It doesn't take much effort to get them. And when you have a disarmed population, well, hey, all bets are off. You're now going to be weak. Hey, the criminals, they're not getting rid of their guns. That's why they're criminals. They don't follow the law. Hell, the criminals are probably glad there's about to be an assault weapons ban, or ban on any weapons. They're going to start with, maybe they'll start with what they call assault weapons. Well, of course, anyone who knows guns knows they're not really assault weapons, but no, we can make up our own. The leftists can make up their own terms for whatever they want. And because America's asleep, and all these people, they see their favorite news broadcaster, or Piers Morgan, on there talking about assault weapons. Oh, and they say, oh yeah, that must be correct. Oh, he said it. So, let me get on the bandwagon. Let me get on the same bandwagon that I've been on with my favorite football team. And well, they said it on TV. It must be right. So they don't investigate anything for themselves. They're totally misinformed. They're disinformed. The information they're getting are lies. I digress. I appreciate you joining the show tonight. We'll be back soon with more. I fully plan to get more into the topic of gun control. I'm not going to tolerate any assaults on our rights. I will not go quietly into the night, and I hope you won't either. And I wish everyone peace and a joyous Christmas season. Good night.